Grant. I'm the Marketing Director here at QuoteWerks. Wanted to thank everyone for joining us where we are going to do a webinar, kind of like the year in review. So 2014 new features that we added to QuoteWerks. Now, obviously, we added a bunch of new features, so we're only going to cover some of the major ones. If we don't get to a feature that you wanted to see, we do have a webinar after every major release. So if there's a feature that you heard about but you didn't get to see, check out the release, and then you can actually go view the webinar that feature was in, and you'll actually be able to see it in action there. So we're going to start off today by doing a short PowerPoint presentation, just kind of some of the major features, just kind of touching on them and what they were. We'll also demonstrate where you can find what's new on QuoteWerks. So anytime you go to the website, if you're curious about what came out in the last release or in the last couple releases, I'll show you where you can find that information on the website. Additionally, we're going to do a live demonstration of these features, and then we'll take some questions at the end. So just a quick summary. In 2014, we released over 187 new features. Obviously, we only have an hour today, so we're not going to cover 187 new features. But we'll get to a lot of the major ones so you can see those in action, specifically some of the new ones that came out in 5.0 in November. We released 102 new fixes and also 31 miscellaneous features. So we are always constantly working on the program, whether we're adding new features or fixing any issues that you guys are bringing to our attention. So if you do run into issues, we do encourage you to let us know so that we can address those. So to get started, for the integration updates, our CRM and PSA updates, we did release, you can see quite a few different updates for the various CRMs and PSAs we integrate with. So any of you ConnectWise users, if you're on 2015.1 or 2, or I think even 3 is out now, that is supported in the latest release of QuoteWerks. We also expanded that integration where we included PO functionality into ConnectWise and also creating sales orders. So we're not going to get to that today, but we do have a webinar that was specifically dedicated to that integration. So if you're interested in seeing that, just check out our website. We do support Goldmine 2014.2, so that was released last year as well. Same thing with Sugar CRM 7.5, MS CRM 2015, Maximizer 13, ACT version 17, Sales Logic 8.1. Those are all released in the last year where we have those integrations. So if you're looking at moving to one of those new version updates of your CRM or PSA, we are compatible with those. If you have a question about the version you're running, just send an email over to support and they can, or give them a call and they can answer that for you as well. If someone's having trouble hearing me, I see there's a message in about that. Like I said, I am recording this, so if for some reason you're having trouble connecting to the audio, we will be posting this on the website as well. In 2014, we did release a Salesforce.com integration expansion where we're now writing the line items into Salesforce. So any of you Salesforce users where you needed the ability to start writing the line items into your opportunities, that is supported. And then also Autotask users, we are now integrating with the Autotask POs. So we can actually create the POs in QuoteWerks and then send that information into an Autotask PO marked as received. And we'll kind of touch on that today when we go over the purchasing in QuoteWerks. Real-time additions, Great America, that's a pretty new one because that's going to be our part of our leasing integration that we released. So we'll actually be able to get real-time rate cards from Great America. Also, ASI and Jenny were added to our real-time module. So if you guys have the real-time module or you're looking to add it and you're waiting for these two distributors, those are supported now. And then also Tech Data Netherlands. So any companies that are in the Netherlands, if you're looking for tech data support, that was added in the real-time module as well in 2014. The My Summary dashboard, this was one of the newer features we released at the beginning of the year in 2014. This gives you a really nice snapshot kind of what your quotes look like for that specific month. We'll go into more detail here in just a few minutes, but you can actually see your monthly quota, view quotes and orders over the last 3 months, kind of see if you can see a pattern developing, view and open any recent documents. You can also see any quotes that are expiring in the next few days, so if you need to follow up on any, those will be there. And then you Autotask and ConnectWise users, if you do have, if you've set it up, we actually will post these notifications on the right-hand side there where you can actually pull up that opportunity from Autotask and ConnectWise. So if you've started an opportunity in Autotask or ConnectWise and you want to be able to pull that into QuoteWerks to finish it so you can quote out the customer, you can pull that information into QuoteWerks. Also very useful for kind of setting like a reminder for yourself that you do need to create a quote for that opportunity. The opportunity dashboards kind of builds on top of the My Summary dashboard. This is going to give you a little more in-depth detail, kind of what your reps are doing in QuoteWerks. So you can see your open quotes for the month, your closed quotes, the top 5 quotes that have been won, top 5 quotes that have been closed. If you've lost opportunities, those will be available to you as well. It'll also show you your quota for the selected period, and then also a quarterly summary forecast at the bottom. Again, we'll go into a lot more detail here on this in just a moment, but you can see that there's just a lot of information that's readily available. And one of the nice things about the Opportunity Dashboard is it is providing this data in real time, so you're not having to go through QuoteWerks or even your CRM or PSA software and have to run a report to get this data. You can just go straight to the QuoteWerks dashboard and see this information in real time. One of the newest features we added and that has been requested quite a bit was the ability to add part numbers to the QuoteWerks Document Items tab without having to do a search, so basically like an autofill. So we added that in Build 8, I believe, in 4.9. This will actually let you do a lookup by the manufacturer part number, and we'll demonstrate this as well. But you'll actually be able to start typing in the part number and click on the drop down and have it autofill the rest of the line item information. We also added the ability for you to select vendors. So if you sourced an item from one specific vendor and you want to swap vendors, you can now choose from the drop-down list. You can also change it so it's on a specific vendor when you're searching for items. So these two features kind of work in conjunction with each other, and I'll show you how that works here in just a few minutes. Our multiple product database search, this is another 5.0 feature and another feature that's been requested quite a bit, so really nice that we were able to add this here. What this is going to allow you to do is actually search any databases you've set up in QuoteWerks. So if you've imported a price file into QuoteWerks or multiple price files and you want to be able to search those price files at once, we can now do that in QuoteWerks. This will support your native product databases, so any items that you've actually imported into QuoteWerks or set up manually, or any link to external database sources. So if you're linking to the Salesforce price book or the Autotask product list or the ConnectWise product list, and you want to be able to search in there with your other databases as well, those are supported also. I see someone was asking about a way to modify a filter to the dashboard. Dashboard's not modifiable yet. It is something we're looking into, but as of right now, it's just going to be kind of set with those preset settings. The other thing you can change is kind of like the date range and user, which I'll demonstrate here in just a few minutes as well. Lease payment calculation. This is a really nice feature because this is something that we've heard a lot of, where a lot of users want to be able to give their customer the option to lease specifically hardware from them, or just make basically a monthly recurring payment that the customer pays. You can do this now in QuoteWerks. We do have a real-time integration with Great America. So if you're using Great America, you can actually get your credentials from them and look up in real time your rate card information and calculate a lease payment based on your quote in QuoteWerks. You can also do it for any other provider. So if you do use a different provider than Great America, if you can get a copy of their rate card, you can actually put that information into QuoteWerks, and then we'll calculate it based on that rate card. So that's, again, something we'll demonstrate here in just a little minute. Purchasing, this is a very big feature that we added into QuoteWerks. We added a lot of functionality. So we had the online ordering module with the distributors, but we added the ability to track the shipping from the distributors. So you'll actually be able to see when the item was shipped from Tech Data, Ingram Micro, Cenex, or D&H. You'll actually get the serial numbers, the tracking numbers. We can create the purchase orders into QuickBooks, Autotask, ConnectWise, and Sage 50. So if you're using any of those for purchase orders, we can actually submit that information from QuoteWerks directly to those. You also have the option to create this manual PO in QuoteWerks and track the information manual as well. So we'll go into a lot more detail here on this in a moment, but this is one of those really nice features that I'm not sure everyone knows about. As we're discussing this, if you have questions about this, let me know, because we did actually do an entire webinar dedicated to the purchasing. So there is a lot of information there, so we'll try to cover as much as possible during the demonstration. So Quote Valley Web, this is the last thing we wanted to cover in our PowerPoint presentation. Quote Valley Web is the reporting engine for Quote Valley. So if you are using Quote Valley, you automatically have access to Quote Valley Web. It's part of your subscription. And what it allows you to do is give you more information about your Quote Valley documents. You can actually compare reps against each other. In this executive dashboard, you can see here, you can see how many quotes have been sent, how many have been accepted, how many have been paid. You can filter by the top dollar quotes, top dollar orders. You can see if customers have viewed the documents, only to show those. You can do the comparative analysis, which will show you that kind of based on each sales rep, which customers are, or which sales reps are performing best, which ones have the most quotes out, which ones have the most orders, and that kind of information. We also have the My Summary, which would be specific to each sales rep, so the sales rep can kind of get information on just what they're doing in QuoteWerks. So this would show them any documents that they've created in QuoteValet. We also have a status board. This is something we actually use internally here, and it's a really nice feature where you can actually see all the sales reps kind of as orders and quotes go out and things like that. You'll be able to see this information show up here on this status board. We actually have it set up on a 40-inch TV on our sales side so that the reps can see it. Very useful if you have reps in and out of the office, so you can make sure you're staying on top of orders and just kind of follow up as different quotes come in or orders come in, or as customers post comments and things of that nature. Fine, there's a search for it, so you can locate a specific document in QuoteValet if you want to find information about it. We also have the customer or the sales rep inbox available as well through QuoteValet Web. There's the peer reviews, and also the document approvals are there as well. So if you're out on the road and you need to review a document or approve it before it goes out to a customer, you can actually access that through QuoteValet Web. You know, if you're not at your desk or your computer and able to pull up QuoteWerks. So again, QuoteValet Web is included in your QuoteValet subscription at no additional charge. So if you already have QuoteValet, you automatically have access to QuoteValet Web and all this reporting information. So one thing we like to stress during our webinars is going to be the QuoteWerks workflow. So from start to finish, QuoteWerks would allow you to create that document and then send it out to the customer and then fulfill it. So always the first step is we want you to select the contact. We want to choose who we're sending this document to. You'll then obviously start selecting your products and services to pull into your document. We can then deliver the document to the customer. Customer can then accept and make payments. Specifically, if they're using QuoteValet, they can actually do that through QuoteValet. You'll receive your notification if they're doing that through QuoteValet. And then the really nice thing is we'll update your opportunity is closed or won in your CRM or PSA. So if you're using any of the CRM or PSAs that we integrate into, you'll be able to update that information from QuoteWerks automatically once your customer has accepted the document. At that point, you'll be able to resource a product. You can check pricing and source it from a different vendor, you know, if pricing has changed since the last time you quoted it out to the customer. You can then place the order. Specifically, if you're doing electronic ordering through QuoteWerks for Tech Data, Ingram Micro, Synnex, and D&H, you can do that directly through QuoteWerks without having to just email out a PO to your customers or to your vendors. We can then take that purchase order document and actually send it to QuickBooks, Sage 50, Autotask, or ConnectWise. So if you're using any of those systems to manage your purchase orders, we can actually integrate with them and send that directly to your systems. And then from there, we'll be able to actually track the order to delivery and fulfillment. So we'll actually touch on that last piece here in just a few minutes. We have a lot of resources on the website, so if you do have questions, feel free to go to the website. All the webinars are recorded on there, so you'll be able to visit those. So like I said, if we go over a feature today and you want more information about it, you can actually see the full webinar where that feature was kind of like a spotlight of that specific webinar. Tech support, obviously, if you are running into issues or just have questions, feel free to give us a call or send us an email. We have quite a bit of documentation and videos on the website, so you can visit our QuoteWerks help file. It's online now, so it's no longer a PDF manual. It makes it a lot easier to navigate and kind of find information. We do have tutorial videos, so if you're looking for information on a specific feature, check out our tutorial videos. And then we do have just the overview videos. So if you do have information just on the overview, kind of how QuoteWerks works in general, or a specific feature, how that works in general, you can check out those videos. Services, these are great if you need some help getting kind of up to speed in QuoteWerks. The accelerated implementation services typically used for new customers for onboarding, so you can get up to speed in QuoteWerks in just 3 hours. So it's a really nice service to use, very, very affordable. Proficiency boosters, useful for any existing customers who just need some help with QuoteWerks. You just need some dedicated time with one of our reps. You can sign up for Proficiency Booster. We do also offer professional services for layout design and QuoteValet customizations. So if you want to change the look of your layouts or you just need some assistance, you can sign up for professional services for that. And then we do also offer sales rep training to help onboard any new sales reps or anyone that's new to your company. You know, maybe your company's been using QuoteWerks for a while, but you have a couple new reps that are going to start using it. sales rep training is perfect for that. It's a 2-hour session. We'll actually walk through how to use the software. We do also have partners worldwide. So if you're looking for a little more help in kind of where you're located, you want someone to come on site, we do have partners listed on the website. If you're looking for someone specific or something specific, just send us an email. We can help you get in touch with the right partner for your specific questions. We go to a lot of events, so if you see us at an event, definitely stop by the booth and say hi. We go to a lot of ASCII events, and there's a few other events that we're going to be signed up for here in the next couple months, so definitely make sure you do stop by. If you have an event that you think we'd be a good fit for, send us an email and let us know, because we're always looking for new events, new opportunities. We do post a lot of information on our Facebook and Twitter, and a lot of videos, actually all our videos are uploaded to YouTube as well, so make sure you check us out there. So if you're looking for any kind of like current event information, check us out there. We're also active on LinkedIn as well, and then also on the QuoteWerks forums. That's a great place to interact with other QuoteWerks users. So if you do have questions, or you want to kind of see how other users are using the software, or just have questions about general use, forums is a great place to go, specifically off hours, if you can't get a hold of support or anything like that. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with our demonstration first. So the first thing I wanted to show you is anytime you're looking at the new features in QuoteWerks, if you want to see kind of what's out there currently or what's available, you can go to the website and you can see that there's an option that says Customer Area. And if you click on that link, that'll bring you to the Customer Area page, and then there's actually a link for What's New. And if you click on that What's New link, that'll bring you here to the What's New in QuoteWerks, and in this case it's going to be version 5.0. And we're going to have the major features that were released in 5.0, and you can even scroll down to What's New in version 4.9, and then it'll even go down to version 4.8. So anytime you want to see the new features, or maybe if you missed a build release and you want to see what's out there, this Customer Area and then the What's New page is a great place for that type of information. All right, so let's go ahead and go through some of the new features. So now we're going to touch on the dashboards that we released in 2014. So let's click on our dashboard icon here. So if you don't see this dashboard, you're not on version 4.9, because that's when that was released. So just make sure you update if you want to see the My Summary dashboard or the Opportunities dashboard, which was released in 4.9 and then 5.0 respectively. So let's click on our dashboard icon here. The first thing you're going to see on this My Summaries page going to be your quota. So this is actually a fairly new feature that was set in version 5.0, where you can actually set a quota for your sales reps. If you want your sales reps to be able to see kind of how they're doing on a month-to-month basis, you can set that in QuoteWerks, and that'll show up here when they click on My Summary. If you guys do an annual quota, it doesn't really matter how much they sell monthly, just have to hit it by the annual. You can obviously just take that number, divide it by 12, and that'll give you kind of your monthly quota that they're going to want to aim for. Same thing with quarterly, just divide it by 4. Right below it, you'll see we have our quotes for the month, last month, and 2 months ago. We also have our orders for this month, last month, and 2 months. So this gives you kind of like a quick snapshot kind of how you're doing in QuoteWerks at the moment. You can see the dollar value of the documents as well, so you can kind of see if you're on track for the last couple months, if you're exceeding that, kind of what things are doing. Down below, you'll see under your recent documents all these hyperlinked documents. These are any documents that you've currently worked on in QuoteWerks. You'll also see that when I drag my mouse over it, it does let me click on it, and that would open up the document in QuoteWerks. So again, My Summary is a great place to access any kind of recent documents. If you worked on something yesterday and you can't remember what the company name was or who it was for, click on My Summary, click on your recent documents, and you'll see a list of them here. Additionally, it's going to display any quotes that you have, that are expiring within the next 7 days. So if you wanted to view a specific document or follow up on a quote before it expires to see if you can get that customer to close, those will be displayed here, and you see they are hyperlinked. If you have uploaded it to Quote Valley, you can actually open up the Quote Valley sales rep facing side, so you can actually post to the sales rep page and actually say, okay, this is where, just letting you know your quote's going to expire soon. So it just makes it very easy to access those documents right from here. And on the right-hand side, you have your notifications bar. This is going to be for anyone who's using AutoTask and ConnectWise. Kind of touched on this earlier. But if you've set up an opportunity in AutoTask or ConnectWise with a specific status, it'll show up here as a notification letting you know that you need to create a quote. Typically, the status is going to be like needs quote or create quote or something like that, something that you've specified in your integrations. But for questions on how to set that up, just contact support@QuoteWerks.com, and they can tell you on that. You can also check out the help file. We have instructions on there. It's pretty straightforward, but that's how this information will show up here. I see a lot of questions about how to set the quota for your users here. That's very simple. Just click on Utilities, User Maintenance, and then select your user. So we'll just do my user, which is Brandon here, and click Edit. And then click on the Sales tab, it's the second tab from the right. And then you'll see there's a quota option at the bottom. So just put your monthly quota in there and then hit OK. You can also do Apply To. So if you want to apply it to all your reps, you can do Apply To if they have the same monthly quota. So again, that's under Utilities, User Maintenance, Edit the User, and then click on the Sales tab, and that'll bring you there. The Opportunities dashboard goes into a lot more detail than the My Summary. So the My Summary is going to be specific to the month we're in. The Opportunities dashboard will give you reporting information based on whichever month you've selected. So by default, it's going to be this month, but I could change it. You can see here there's a different range. So maybe I want to go to 2 months ago. So I want to say, okay, well, show me how I did in December in this case. So you can see here you can select a different user if you'd like. Just click on the drop-down. You do have to have the correct security settings in place in order for this to work. So if you don't have access to another user's documents, that user won't be available to you here. You'll only see your name or other users that you have access to be able to view their documents. The range, again, that's going to default to this month, but you can change it just by clicking on the drop-down here like I did. So I changed mine to 2 months ago to show us December. And this is going to display my lost quotes, so any quotes that I've converted to lost. My open quotes, so any quotes that were out there for the customer, but the customer never moved forward with them, and then any quotes that I have that are closed, so quotes that I closed. You can see these are also hyperlinks. So if I click here, this will actually bring me to my open window, and I can see the current open quotes during that time period. So it just makes it a really easy way to go and view that document in or search for a specific document during that date range. Same thing with close. If I want to see the close quotes for that month, I could do that, and same thing for lost. On the right-hand side, you'll see it's going to show me the top 5 closed /1 in the period. So in 2 months ago, these were my top 5 documents by the dollar value. And if you can see here, they're all hyperlinks, so you can actually click on it, and that'll open up the document. Let me go ahead and close this window here. That'll actually open up that document for you in QuoteWerks. So again, it's just kind of like a shortcut of getting around to your documents. Extremely useful for your top 5 open quotes. Just saying, hey, this is a really large quote that I want to see if I can get them to purchase before it expires. That'll be displayed here in your top 5 open quotes, and you can actually click on this link, and that'll open it up for you. I see a couple questions coming in about the opportunities. If you don't see the opportunities dashboard in QuoteWerks, that means that you're not running version 5.0, so you just need to update. So if you only see the My Summary and Quote Valley or just the My Summary, you're not on version 5.0, so you do need to have 5.0 to see the opportunities here. All right, and then your top 5 lost opportunities, you'll see that it does show you any quotes that you've been converted to lost, and again, you can open those. So if you have, customers reinterested in starting this again, you can actually open up that document. It also displays your top 5 products won in this specific date range, so you can see what items sold the best in that specific month, and you could even compare it to other months if you wanted to. Same thing, it'll show you your top 5 most valuable products, so by the dollar value. And you'll see those here. You can access those. And this will actually open up any quotes that have, in that open window, that have sold this particular item. So you'll see all those documents for you. So it just makes it very easy to kind of navigate and find these existing documents. And again, the really nice thing about this is this information is in real time. So it's actually going to show me, hey, for this month I have 4 quotes closed. I have 4 quotes open. I have 9 quotes closed. So you can kind of stay on top of that information. Let's go back to December here, because I want to show you the quarter information. So if we go back here, you'll see I have my quota for the selected period was 149%, so I was $9,700 over my quota. So again, it just makes it easy for a sales rep to see that information here. You'll also see we have our fourth quarter 2014 summary. So I actually changed our quarter by clicking on the previous quarter because we've only been through 2 months of this quarter so far, so I wanted to show you all an entire quarter. But you can see, I can see my dollar value for my different quarters and then my quarter totals, and then also does your yearly totals. So you can actually see how you're doing for the specific year. And it'll track all that information from all quotes that have closed, all that have been won, and then all that have been lost and which ones are open as well. You can always get back to your current period just by clicking on current, and that'll bring you back to your current period here. So it just makes it very easy to see that information in real time and give you that reporting information that's extremely valuable. Have a lot of questions about if you can set this for all users. Not yet. That is something we're looking at. Right now it's just going to be broken down by per user. That is something that you could look into Quote Valet Web if you're looking for a little more information. That's available in Quote Valet Web also. All right. So the next feature we wanted to move to is going to be the manufacturer part number lookup. So let's go ahead and start with a blank quote just so you can see this. So a lot of users have asked for the ability to essentially start typing in a part number and have QuoteWerks autofill the rest of the line item information so they don't have to do a search. So this is done in QuoteWerks very simply now. So if you look here on my manufacturer part number field, when I click on it, it actually has a drop-down. So if I click on the drop-down, it's going to show me my items that are in this specific database. Now, I have no vendor, so how did it know which database to select? Well, it's looking at my quick lookup. So if you start with a blank item and you have no vendor, QuoteWerks is automatically going to show you the items from this specific vendor that you have selected here in your quick lookup. Now, maybe you don't want to search in your demo database. You say, okay, I want to search in my Our Products database. Well, just select your Our Products as your vendor, and you can see that easy drop-down there. And then you can now click on your drop-down here, and it'll show you your Our Products items. Now, this shows all the items. So if you do have a database that has, 200,000 items, it's going to take a second to load, so just keep that in mind. Now, what you can do is you can search for a specific item, and you can do that by start typing in the part number. So, for instance, if I'm looking for a part number, and I know it starts with the number 13, but I don't remember the rest of it, I can type in 13 in my part number, hold down Shift on my keyboard, and then click on my drop-down, and it's going to limit my search to any items that begin with this part number, so that begin with 13. So I know if I want the standard transformer, I can select it, and then it populates this item with that information. So let's go ahead and click, I'm going to create a new one, start with a blank one again, and then if I wanted to leave my vendor blank, again, if I click on my drop-down, it's going to default to my quick lookup. So if I said, okay, let me see here. I have one that's, I know it starts with PD, and then I hold Shift, and I click on the drop-down. That's the only one. I can select that item, and we go back here. It's populated that information for me. So it makes it very easy to quickly add items to your document without having to go through the actual searching of an item. So that's something that's new to QuoteWerks. This also kind of covered our vendor drop-down list. So your vendors, when you're adding items, are going to be any vendors that you set up in QuoteWerks in two places, either your product lookup window. So when you click on the product lookup screen here, this will actually show you your vendor list of those vendors. And then also if you set up your vendors under your utilities vendor maintenance, this is the other option. So between those two spots, this is going to give you your vendor list. So if you're looking here and you're saying, I don't see one of my vendors that I always sell to and I create POs for, that means that you haven't set them up in your products or in your utilities vendor maintenance list. So make sure you have your vendors in there if you want to be able to quote items from different vendors. All right. I see a lot of you guys are throwing a lot of questions out there. I'll circle back at the end of the webinar and make sure I get to all of those. So I do apologize if I'm not able to answer your question immediately as we're walking through this here. All right. So one of the other ways that we want to search for items is sometimes you need to do a search for an item, and with our multiple database search, it makes it a lot easier to search all your vendors at once. So to do that, click on your products icon here, And in version 5.0, you'll see at the very top there's a multiple database search option. This will let you search any databases that you've set up in QuoteWerks. So if it's a imported price list or a manual price list that you've just added items to manually, or a item list that we link to, such as like Salesforce or an Excel sheet or AutoTask or ConnectWise, we'll be able to search all those price lists at once instead of you having to go to each individual list. So to do it, it's very simple. You're going to click on your multiple database search, and then you'll see on the right-hand side there's an option that says Choose Databases. So if I click on this option, this will give me a list of all my databases that I've set up in QuoteWerks, and then I can select which ones I want to search. So maybe you have 10 or 15 different databases that you'd like to search from, but you know only these 3 carry these items that I'm looking to quote. You can just select it so it only searches those databases. In our case, I'm just going to select these 3 that I have and hit OK. And you can even see it'll tell you you have 3 of your 4 available that have been selected. So you can search by your manufacturer, your vendor part number, description, and your manufacturer part number. So very similar for any of you that have been using QuoteWerks any length of time. This search window is going to look the exact same, just as if I clicked on my demo database here. It gives me that same search window, so we didn't change anything there. So now when I want to search for an item, I would just type in the keyword. So I'm going to say I'm looking for any items that have the word switch in it in their description. And you can see it found 4 items. So let me know how many items it found. And then if I extend this window a little bit, we can actually see which vendors have that item. So two of the items were in my demo database, one in our products, and one in my services database. So just by doing this, it searched these 3 databases and found these 4 items with the word switch in it. And now I can actually choose which of the items I want to find. So this makes it very easy to compare across different vendors. So if you have vendors that sell the same items or very similar items, you can now easily compare with them in one shot instead of having to go to one vendor and then the other and compare that way. So we can actually check here for these items, and then we can add these to our document. And then adding them to the document is the exact same way as you would normally do it. You would simply select your item, and you can either double-click on it to bring up the Add Item Assistant, or have it highlighted and click Select Add to bring up the Add Item Assistant. So either way, it's going to let you add it to the document just the same. The really nice thing about this feature is there is no setup involved. It just is available. So once you are upgraded to version 5.0, you'll just see this feature for you. Just looking over some of your questions. Yes, we are planning, Tommy, I see your question about support for QuickBooks Online. We are planning on supporting that. I don't have a time frame for you, but it is on development's roadmap. Jessica, we'll follow back up on your questions about the quick lookup once we get through the rest of the webinar here. So again, the multiple database search, really nice way to compare across different vendors in one spot without having to go to each individual vendor and add those different items or search those different vendors one at a time to look for maybe the same or similar items that they sell. All right. So the next feature I wanted to mention is going to be our leasing integration. So this is a really nice feature for anyone that sells or offers leasing options for your customers. Specifically with Great America, we have the real-time integration, but if you use another provider, you'll be able to use them in QuoteWerks also. We also added the ability to give your customer the option if they want to pay by credit card or term. So any of you QuoteValet users, if you want to give your customer the option to purchase using terms instead of a credit card, we have that functionality for you as well. So I'm going to start with an existing quote, and we're going to click on the Sale Info tab. And you can see here there's going to be a new box. So if you're on version 5.0, you'll see this. If you're on 4.9, you won't see this yet until you upgrade. But this is going to show you a couple things. So the first thing I'm going to add are a couple different payment options. So if you want to give your customer the option to select, if they're going to pay by credit card or terms, simply click Add. And we can click on the drop-down, and then you can select which one. So in our case, we'll select terms and hit OK, and then it'll show up here. Then we're going to do it one more time, and we'll select credit card, and we'll hit OK there. You can double-click on one of the options to have it selected, and that'll give it pre-selected for the customer. Now, if you're not using QuoteValet, this really isn't going to do too much for you. But if you are using QuoteValet, this will have it pre-selected on QuoteValet for the customer. Now from here, if you want to add lease payment options, you're going to do the same thing, except we're just going to click on Add Lease Payment Options. And let me backtrack just a little bit here. You can set default payment options on your document, so you don't have to set them up each time. If you click on Tools, Options, and then click on your Payment tab, you can see I've set mine up where I have my credit card and my terms automatically added for every new quote. So you can set that up on your documents as well. Again, that's going to be under Tools, Options, and then click on the Payment tab. So on our Payment Options window, you'll see the leasing option here. Once I've added leasing options, I'll be able to refresh them, but obviously I need to add them first. So we're going to show you the Great America integration first. So we're going to click Add Lease Payment Options. And I've already have mine set up to default to Great America. If you are using another provider, then you can set it to default to that provider. If you have multiple providers, you can set it up to default to the one that you use the most. In our case, we're just going to use Great America here. You can see I have my different options, so I can choose points. So if it's 0 or 1 all the way up to 8, I can select that. And then I need to select options. You'll see there's term options, purchase options, and advanced payment options. You need to check at least one under each of these 3 categories. So if you don't, it'll actually pop up a message saying, hey, you didn't select, like in this instance, I haven't selected a purchase option yet. So you do need to make sure you select that. These are using my default selections, but as you can see here, I can check and uncheck the ones that I want to add. So maybe I want to give the customer a 48-month option as well. We'll give them the option for a $1 buyout, and then if you have advanced payment options, if they want to make $0 or $1 or one payment first, they can do that. And then simply click on Get Lease Payments. And this is going to calculate your lease payment options. And you can see I have my different options here. And then you can go through and you can actually choose which ones you want to add to the document. So I can select my 12-month, 24, and maybe my 36 I want to add out of the different options. And then I can just click Add Selected Payment Options to the quote. So even though you've calculated quite a few different ones, only the ones that you select will actually appear on the document. If you want to select all, there is a Select All button here, and that will select all of them for you. You can also deselect them all and then just select which ones you want to include on the document. If you're using a different vendor, a different provider, and you've set up their rate card, you'll simply choose your provider here. So let me go ahead and we'll add these selected payments. So I've added them here, and you can see they show up on my document so my customer can see what they are. Now maybe I want to change them. I'm going to use a different provider. You can click on the provider drop-down, and I can select, okay, maybe I have my a different rate card here. So I have a sample one that we use, and I can select different payment options, and this will populate those as well. So it'll automate it for you so that you're not having to manually do this calculation, and then it'll show up on the document. The really nice thing about this that I'll demonstrate here in just a moment is that when you upload it to QuoteWerks, the customer will actually be able to choose which option they want. And if you set up credit card payments in QuoteWerks where you were working with one of the merchant accounts we support, the customer can actually make the first payment on this as well. So once I have my payment options here, you can see now my customer has quite a few options. They can choose how they want to pay. They can pay by terms for the full amount. They can pay by credit card for the full amount, which is right now selected, or they can lease the option. So if I double-click on the 12-month lease option here, that's going to be the selected one that will be set for them when they go to QuoteWerks. We can also show this on their layout as well, which we'll demonstrate here in just a moment. So let's go ahead and click on Deliver, and we'll select our layout. So let me select a layout here that has my leasing options, and click Preview. And it has all my different line items on the document. And then you can see at the very bottom here, I've actually had it set up so it can show me my different finance options with my totals. And you can change this text. So if you want to call it something else, or you want to show them the full amount, say, hey, it's going to be this much every month with this is the option selected, you can see that information. These layouts are available on the website. So if you are using the leasing integration, go to the QuoteWerks website. So if we just go back to QuoteWerks here, and you go to Integrations and click on Leasing, this will bring you to the QuoteWerks leasing page. At the bottom of this page, there's a couple different layouts that we've created for you so you can use this information. And this will have that those macros already in the layouts for you. And then you can kind of just customize those, or you can just add the macro to your existing layout. If you already have your layout looking the way you want, you can just use the macro that's set there. So a very easy change to make to get your documents to have that leasing option for your customers. For Quote Valet users, once you've selected your leasing option, we can then choose Upload to Quote Valet. We'll go ahead and we'll save it. And then we'll click Upload. And then we can preview it. And when we preview it, we'll actually be able to see where the customer, if we scroll down here, so we have all our line items from the document on there. Scroll down, and then you can see this is where the customer can actually make their selection. They can come through and they can select how they want to make payment, and then when they accept it, it'll actually bring them to the payment screen so they can make their first month payment. Now, a couple things that come up often is, what if you sent this quote to the customer and now they want to change it? Maybe they don't need an item, or they're asking for more items or less items. Well, QuoteWerks will automatically recalculate it for you. So if you're using one of the other providers for the leasing and something on the document changes, QuoteWerks will automatically update the leasing price. If you're using the Great America real-time integration, a notification bar will pop up letting you know that something's changed on the document and you need to refresh it. So let's change this item here to 3. You'll see up at the top, it's letting me know, hey, your Great America real-time leasing payments need to be manually refreshed on the Sale Info tab. So I can close out of that and say, okay, that's fine. Let's go to our Sale Info tab. And you can see now it's red because QuoteWerks is telling you, hey, these are out of date. You changed something. You need to recalculate them. So all we have to do to recalculate from Great America is click Refresh Lease Payment Options. And you can see now it's recalculated our prices for the different vendors. If you're on Quote Valet, it'll automatically do it for you as well. So as long as you refresh it here, it'll update it in Quote Valet as well. So it's a really nice feature that's going to auto-calculate kind of as you're making adjustments on the fly or as your customer's making different selections to the document as well. To set your default leasing options, since we haven't talked about that yet, that's going to be under Tools, Options, and then you'll see there's a Leasing tab. So I have mine set to the Great America Real-Time, but if you're using a different provider or you want to set a different provider as your default, simply select your provider, your rate card, and then you can see here, this is where you set those terms, as well as your purchase options and advanced payment options. This is also where you'll set the display macro. So if you remember on mine, I actually set, this is the finance option. This is the text that populates. You can return it to its original default just by clicking the little arrow here, and this is what it would show. It would show, hey, this is the total lease amount, this is the number of months, this is the purchase options you selected, and these are the monthly payments, and this is the amount, and this is if you have advanced payments. All that information here is going to be the payment up front. So this will show all that information. So I'd shorten mine just to make it a little easier to read, but you can modify that and change it as needed. So again, this is going to be changed under Tools, Options. Click on the Leasing tab, and that information is going to be set here. All right. Now let's go to our purchasing. So the purchasing is going to be the last step with pretty much any quote you create in QuoteWerks. Now, one of the most important things about using the purchasing module in QuoteWerks is converting your quotes to an order. A lot of companies don't know that that's how we close a quote in QuoteWerks. So when you're ready, when your customer has accepted the quote, you want to convert the quote to an order. This is important for multiple reasons, but one of the main ones is this is how we integrate with your CRM or PSA, and we update it as closed or won. So to do that, you're going to simply click on File, Convert to Order. And it's just going to ask you, we're not going to do it for this one because I haven't updated an opportunity, but if I had, it'll prompt me to update that opportunity as won. The reason that that's important is that closes the quote in QuoteWerks, but it also creates an order document. Right now, you'll see this is set as a quote. So this document won't show up in my purchasing module because it's set as a quote. So that's the other reason that you need to make sure that you're converting your quotes to order if you're going to be using our purchasing module. I see Casey has a question about the leasing. Yeah, Casey, it could be actually if you do have kind of like a set APR or monthly terms that you wanted to set up in our default rate card, you could use it for financing. It could work for that, absolutely. So let's click on our purchasing icon here. And it's going to tell you that you need to, any quotes that you have open is going to close, and any orders that you have open is going to close as well. So let me bring this window down here. So now that we have our purchasing window here, you can see we can select all these different items. We can search by customer. If you're using ConnectWise, you can actually search by ticket. So if you've created a ticket for those items, you could search by that ticket number. And then your item scope by default is going to be non-purchased items. This is important because we do show you the purchased and all items, but typically you're not going to be placing orders for items that have already been purchased unless it's some kind of reorder. But if you need to see any items that have been ordered, you can change this drop-down, and then you can also see by date. So if I wanted to call it, say, show me this week. Actually, I don't have any. We'll do this month. And then I can say, okay, select my vendor. So actually, let's go ahead and go back to all. And we're going to do vendor. We'll do tech data. So I can filter by vendor, and that's typically how you're going to do the purchasing anyways, by vendor. And then you can see I have all these items that are ready to be purchased. Now, this is my training installation, so I have a lot of items here. Yours probably won't have this many. But once you make your selections, you can see it's starting to select these items. And then at the bottom, it's actually calculating my total. And then it's also letting me know, hey, you set a shipping minimum of $1,000. So if you hit that minimum, you can actually get free shipping from Tech Data. I set that up under Utilities Vendor Maintenance. So if you want to set up your shipping minimums for your different vendors, that's under Utilities Vendor Maintenance, and you can put in how much you need to hit, and then as you're adding items to your order, it'll actually populate here. So there's going to be a couple different settings that you want to look at here. The first is if you're going to be placing the online order is supported with Tech Data, Ingram Micro, Synnex, D&H. So if you're using any of those 4 vendors and you have the real-time module, you can place the online order directly from QuoteWerks. If you're not using those vendors, you can still create a purchase order in QuoteWerks that we can create the manual purchase order, and then you can manually receive items and track them and things like that, which I'll show you here in just a moment. So we'll show Tech Data because they do have the online ordering. So you would select your items. And then if you needed to check pricing, maybe it's been a while since this customer had purchased this item and you're batching orders so you can get your free shipping, you needed to check pricing, you can actually see there's an Utilize Panel button here. And this will let you check pricing on this specific item just to make sure it's still the same price before you actually go out and get ready to order it. So if you need to source it from a different vendor or you just want to check availability, you can check this information here. So it makes it very easy to just kind of keep track of that specific information and make those changes as you need to. So my pricing has changed a little bit, but we're still going to go ahead and place the order here. And you can do that with any of the line items here from your different vendors. So again, just makes it easy to resource it from a different vendor if you need to. So once you've checked pricing, we can now go ahead and place the online order. You'll see there's also the option to create the PO. So the first thing it's going to do is place the online order. Then it will prompt you to create the purchase order. So let's go ahead and create or place our online order. Let me just center this window a little bit so it's a little easier to see. And then the first thing it's going to ask you is the purchase order information. So you need to put in your PO number. If you have a PO number that you want to specify, you can put that in here. Your PO description, PO reference ID, this information is strictly for QuoteWerks, so you can actually leave these blank if you don't have any information in there, but if you do want to put it in there, go ahead. You can also set the order pricing type, and then your special instructions. This is extremely important for all 4 vendors. If you get negotiated pricing from your vendors or any kind of pricing that is not from your real-time module, it's not coming in through the XML feed, you need to put instructions in here so that it flags the order. If you put anything in here, if you just put that in there, that'll flag the order for review by a human instead of just going directly through the electronic ordering system. So a lot of times what customers will do is when they receive a special negotiated pricing quote from one of the vendors, they'll actually post the quote number. So, if it's quote, whatever number it is, they'll put that information in here, and then this order will be flagged, and in this case, the Tech Data rep would look at it, see the quote number, then they can open up that quote number on their side and say, okay, yeah, that is negotiated pricing. That's what we approve that pricing, so we'll go ahead and we'll submit this order and complete it for them. If you don't have negotiated pricing, or if you do have negotiated pricing, you don't put the special instructions there, Tech Data is going to kick, or any of the vendors will kick the order back and say, hey, you're not authorized to buy at that price. So just something to keep in mind. You need to check on that information. Make sure you put your instructions in there. If you're just purchasing through the XML feed, you looked up your item through Eatalize or just using a real-time module, then you would just verify your current pricing availability, validate the order, and then submit it. You can set your shipping information, so you can choose who you want to ship it to. So if you want to ship it to yourself, if you're shipping to different locations, you can select that as well. You can choose the end user if you need to. So if you want to put the end user information in there. And then we do integrate with the My Order Tracker information. So if you need to put that information in here, you can do that as well. This is live, so this is as far as I can go. But it's pretty straightforward, as you can see. As you just verify the current pricing availability, so it'll just check your XML feed, update the pricing if it needs to. Then it'll validate the order, and then it'll let you submit it, so you can put that information in there. Once you submit the order, it'll prompt you to create the purchase order in QuoteWerks, and then also export to QuickBooks, Sage 50, Autotask, or ConnectWise if you're using any of those four. If you're not using any of those four, I'm still going to show you how we create the purchase order, because I'm not actually going to create the purchase order for any of those integrations, so I'll show you how that works. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of there. So we're going to pretend we placed the online order, and then QuoteWerks prompted us to create the PO. So I have mine set up to integrate with QuickBooks. If I leave this PO number blank, it'll actually use the next QuickBooks generated number. So I could leave it blank, but I'm going to go ahead and fill it in here. And that's just going to automatically use my next QuoteWerks number. You can change this. You can manually type in here if you'd like, if you want to put in a specific PO number. It's up to you how you want to number your documents for the purchase orders in QuoteWerks. We can also set the reference ID, flooring account, and description information. This is going to be very important. This is where you are actually going to have that document created in QuickBooks, Sage 50, Autotask, ConnectWise. So if you do not see a checkbox here for your specific system that you're using for purchase orders, so if you're using QuickBooks and you say, hey, there's no checkbox there, it's just blank, that means you haven't set up QuoteWorks to use QuickBooks for your purchase orders. To do that, you need to click on Tools, Options, and then click on the Accounting tab. So again, go to Tools, Options, the Tools menu in QuoteWorks, click on Options, then go to the Accounting tab, and you can select which system you want to use for your purchase order integration. In this case, I'm using QuickBooks. I'm not actually going to export it to QuickBooks because I don't have it running on this machine. But if I did, then I could actually create the document in QuickBooks. So we're going to go ahead and hit OK. And this is going to create the document in QuoteWorks for me. And then if I click on my Purchase Orders tab, and we go to Today, you can see that I've created a new purchase order right here. And you can see my different items that were sent over. Now, if I had placed the electronic order with Tech Data, I could actually get in real-time order status updates. So I could actually see when the order was shipped, when it was processed, the shipping company they use, so if it was FedEx, UPS, the tracking number, the serial number for the items, all that information would come in automatically. And the way you get that is just by clicking on your real-time status here. If you want to do it for every order, so since I have 2 orders here, if I clicked here, this would actually give me the real-time status for all these orders. Now, I didn't place these electronically through QuoteWorks or through QuoteWorks with the distributors, so I can't get that information, but I can add it manually. So if you are using another vendor and you need a place to put your tracking numbers, to put your serial numbers, as your vendors are shipping your items and giving you that information, you can come here on this Purchase Orders tab in QuoteWorks, and it can actually, you can select an item, and you can say, okay, let me go ahead and add the tracking number for this item. So I can manually add the tracking number and say, okay, it's going FedEx ground, and okay, and then I can put in the tracking numbers. Whatever the tracking number is, put that in, and I can hit okay. And now I have that tracking number here, and you can see once you have the tracking number, you have the option to track the shipment. So you can actually click on that tracking number, and it'll open up that specific website for you so you can see what the status is of that particular item. You can also add the serial number manually. And then once you've done that, you'll see there's an option, if I right-click, to let me email the tracking number. So if you want to send the tracking numbers to your customers so they can keep track of it and see when the item is expected to arrive, you can actually email that to them. You can also copy specials, so we can actually copy the tracking and serial numbers into like a text file that we can then add to an email or send out to a customer that way as well. If you're using QuickBooks, AutoTask or ConnectWise for your POs, we can actually mark the items as received here. So if I click Receive, I can actually receive the item manually here in QuoteWerks, and that will update QuickBooks, AutoTask, and ConnectWise that the items have been received so that you can actually mark it in one spot, and then it updates both systems for you. For QuickBooks and AutoTask and also ConnectWise, we'll also write the serial numbers over to those systems as well. So you'll have that information in there. So if you need to keep track of that data, you don't have to do it manually also. And then once you've received your item, so here, let's go ahead and receive this item. Say it's that one. We can put in, you can see here you have the option to put in the location, asset tag, MAC address, and hit OK. You can see it's going to let you know, hey, it's shipped, it's received. It'll even give you the date. And then you can even right-click and you can close the PO once it has been completed so it doesn't show up on your list anymore. If you need to access a specific item or you want to look by a specific customer, you can click on your Ordered Items tab, and this will give you a little more flexibility for searching and locating previous orders. So when you click on your Ordered Items tab, you can choose to, by default, it's going to show you the not shipped or not received, so you can change this. So we can say, show me today all my items that haven't shipped or received that were placed today. And then you can filter by a specific customer, by a PO number, by the ref ID and the part number, or the ref ID that we were talking about earlier, by a part number. If you had added a comment to it, you can search by the comment as well. And then you can even search in any closed POs. So if you want to go back and get a serial number for an item that had already been shipped and received, you can still get that information on this ordered item screen. So it just gives you a lot more flexibility to find that data. So those are some of the major features that we released in 2014. I know it's kind of a lot to take in, but like I said, we did do a webinar for each release in 2014. So if you did miss something or if you saw a feature and you want some more information about it, feel free to go check out those webinars. They do cover all the features that we released. Those are available to you. This webinar was recorded, so if you did have questions, if you came in late, or someone from your team had to leave early, yes, we will be posting this on the website next week, so everyone will be able to view it. So I'm going to go ahead and start circling back and answering questions, so feel free to send those over. For those of you that don't have any questions, thank you for attending, and anyone else, if you have questions about something that we covered today or just QuoteWerks in general, feel free to give us a call or send us an email. We'd be happy to answer any questions you have. So thanks again, everyone that showed up, and we'll talk to you soon.